Welcome to this ISSU video on understanding the changes to the 2022 Leaving Cert and just some of our tips and advice around understanding the changes that were made to make full potential and use over the coming weeks, over the Easter break, and over the next 2 to 3 months while you are completing the exams. As a Leaving Cert student myself, I'm going to guide you through this in hopefully a very student-friendly way. So, where do you find the changes? Visit examinations.ie and click the Examinations 2022 button as demonstrated here. When you click that button, you're going to be brought to this page, and you want to look for the sentence that says details of further adjustments February 2022. And you can click the link where it says further adjustments, and that will bring you directly to the document that we're going to talk about today. So the most important thing I would suggest, and it's something that when this document first came out, that as a student you immediately rush past and just want to focus on like the subjects that you do, and you want to see the changes that was made to your subjects. But something that I was very quick to realise was that reading the introduction, similar to just reading the questions in an exam before you answer it, is the most important part. When you thoroughly look into the introduction, which we're going to do in this video, there's some really cool hidden gems that will really kind of help you understand the exam papers. I'm going to go through the introduction now and go step by step and highlight some of those little bits just to make yourself aware of when preparing for your exams. The first thing is about that no new material has been added to the 2021 papers, and generally no material has been removed. So it's important to note that it's the same coursework and generally the same material that has been in all previous exams. And what exactly did the choices make then, considering that no material has been, generally speaking, been removed? Well, it has improved further choice in the exam paper for almost every single exam. By reducing the number of questions while still having the same amount of material, it does mean that you have a lot more choice, but it also reduces the time that you need to complete the questions in the exam. So if on an exam paper you used to traditionally have to answer 7 questions and now you only have to answer 5, you still have the exact same amount of time that you would have been given to answer those 7 questions, but you only have to do 5 now. So the actual timing, you've saved time there, meaning that you will have this extra amount of time to answer those 5 questions. It's the same amount of time you would have been given to answer 7 questions, you know, so it relieves a bit of time pressure for us students. The next thing is just about a really important step. You might think, okay, I have extra time, that's grand, I'll you know, write an extra 2 pages on an English essay. No, that is not what they want you to do. That is not what the examiners are looking for. There's absolutely no expectations that students will produce more or extensive work because of the extra time. The extra time is there to relieve time pressure. It's to allow students to become more familiar with the exam paper, to read and consider the questions, because there's a lot more choice. You want to read the questions and actually fully understand them before you choose which one you're going to do. So there is no expectation to write or do more than what it already asks. Write the same amount that you would write in a traditional exam paper. For example, the ones that you've been probably practicing over the last number of exam years. So going back over the previous exam papers, you're not expected at all to write a lot more than you traditionally would. So the next thing is that in certain subjects, because of the extra choices that have been brought in this year, that certain sections might just be completely not assessed. or that you can choose not to have them assessed. Now, what that means is, like, for example, if there are a set amount of questions per topic that come up every year and you're given a choice, you can technically leave out sections. For example, in the English paper 2, you used to have to answer a question on poetry, on a comparative study, and your like singular study text. So general, but this year you only have to answer 2. So technically you could leave out one of those sections and just focus on the 2 that you know you're going to answer. But again, you probably have got recommendations by your teacher, and we'd also recommend that rather than leaving out a full section, revise over all 3, but maybe focus on 2, just so that on the day of the exam, if a question comes up in the bit that you have studied really hard, that you're really not sure of the actual question, that you have a backup, that you can go, okay, I'll have a look at that other question, my 3rd choice, and you might be a bit more confident in answering that question. So just to kind of be aware of that. But again, it has been relayed for a 2nd time in this document alone that the additional time does not mean you need to give more detailed answers that would traditionally be expected. You know, just because you have to answer fewer questions does not mean you have to give longer or more detailed answers. It's looking for the same amount of quality, not quantity. Okay? So that extra time is just so that you can become more relaxed in the what could be for a lot of people. Can be a very stressful environment. So it's to reduce that a little bit just so you can focus more on what the question is actually asking. The next biggest thing we would recommend is just communicating with your teachers. The schools and the teachers are the key role in obviously communicating these changes over the last month or so to students, but actually helping them understand what they are, like what we're doing in this video. The biggest tip from the ISSU here is that teachers who taught 6 years in 2021 have the experience of helping students in planning out the timings for each question. Generally speaking, almost all changes that was made in 2021 have been made again for the 2022 year. So about like maybe choices and questions. So it's really vital that you look at your teachers and you ask them, how did they advise their students in planning out questions? How much time should they spend on, you know, question 5 of that exam paper? It's a really big advantage to actually have the teachers who have that experience, because last year 6th years wouldn't have had that experience of having teachers who have actually gone through the 2021 exam changes. This year we have that. We have teacher experience who helped advise students last year on these same changes. This is a vital step in planning your study and getting yourself prepared over the Easter break, which is a huge opportunity to learn, as well as just the lead up to the exams over the next 2 to 3 months. Now, when you are looking at your subjects, once you've read through the introduction, you can go back up to the 2nd page, which is the table of contents. And on the content page, you'll have the list of all the subjects, but each subject is hyperlinked to that page. So use the content page as almost like a selection menu. So you can just select the subject that you're doing and it will bring you directly to the exact subject changes there. So it's really important that you recognize this is not a 70-page document that you have to read every single page and understand every single page, and it's this massive thing that you have to read over. It really isn't. It's reading 3 introductory pages. It's realistically 2.5. But by watching this video, you've probably already understood the most kind of highlighted parts of the section anyway now. And it's about just focusing on maybe the subjects that apply to you. So it goes from being a 70-page document to possibly an 8 or 9-page document. So it's about realistically taking a step back and looking at the document, looking at the changes, and really focusing on those key points in the introduction, and really having a smooth planning period over the next 2 months, knowing that you have kind of regained time in the exam and a lot more choice. So in summary, you know, go and talk to your teachers, plan out what timings they would recommend, and then focus on the choices on your subjects, and don't forget about that introduction. So that generally is the end of this video. I hope I have been able to kind of highlight some of the important bits that may have been brushed over in the introductory of the further changes document, and just helping you navigate where that document is, especially in the lead up to the Easter break, as well as just the next 2 to 3 months while exams are taking place. So as a 6th year student myself, I wish you all, my fellow peers, all the best of luck in the 2022 Leaving Cert. And with that, I now say goodbye. So, slán agus beannacht.